What is going on, traders? We have a lot to go over. But before we get into that, like, subscribe, comment your thoughts below. Let's get into the video. Now, on Wednesday's video, in the thumbnail, I said tomorrow we trap. And what happened on Thursday? Thursday, everything started to rally. SPY ran all the way up to 519, and video ran up all the way to like 905, 906. Everything was booming. And even me, I was a little optimistic. I'm like, okay, maybe the drop that I am expecting isn't coming. Maybe CPI data or Wednesday was the last and final drop of the week. But it turns out my original thought process of Thursday being a bull trap was absolutely correct because Friday we gapped down. Okay, so again, you got to start taking me serious at some point. You got to give me a like, follow, something. All right. So, what are my expectations heading into next week? So, first, I personally think Monday we are going to gap down. Okay. Now, I'm going to give you guys reasons on why I believe that. But first, let's go over Bitcoin. Okay. Now, I told you guys that I'm pretty much bearish short term on Bitcoin. We have the halving going up, and it's absolutely mind blowing that a lot of these YouTubers are telling you guys to continue to buy crypto or buy Bitcoin over and over with the halving coming up. I think that's absolutely insane. And you guys need to just really pay attention on who you listen to as far as investing. All right. Me personally, all I do is trade Bitcoin. Simple as that. Today, I put out a signal this morning. We took a sell on Bitcoin at 69,000, and my price target was 65,000. And like 15 minutes later, boom, Bitcoin just plummets, as you guys can see here. So congratulations if you took that trade. We took profit at like 65,800. Apparently, Iran attacked Israel or tried to attack Israel, and that's what caused this drop. So congratulations if you took that play. But I just want to make it clear that the things I say on my channel, I truly believe and I actually trade. I'm not one of those traders who just say things on my channel and don't follow through. Okay. So, in order for me to be bullish on Bitcoin, I'm going to keep saying it 74K, 74K, 75K psych level. Until then, I am bearish on Bitcoin short term. We have the halving coming up. We're below these supply and demand zones. We've broken out of the symmetrical triangle. I mean, there's not much to talk about here as far as upside goes. Long term, absolutely bullish. But short term, I think this thing has more downside, and your key level here is 59K. You break below 59K, I'm just going to show you guys. If you break below 59K, right here is very illiquid. There's nothing holding us back from dropping to 52K, 53K. You can say the psych level 50K. We break and stop these guys out of their position because remember, I tell you guys all the time, wicks tell you where buyers and sellers are. We stop these guys out of their position, we're plummeting. We are absolutely plummeting. And in order for that to happen, obviously we need some type of news. I do think it's pretty convenient that the Iran news came in, dropped the Bitcoin all the way down to a key level, and then all of a sudden the news was concluded. Like Iran changed their mind all of a sudden as soon as Bitcoin hit 60K. So I always think it's very convenient how news just comes out and the timing it comes out. It's just very convenient. That's why I think all news isn't news. I always tell people that all news is not news. All right. But that's just me, my little conspiracy theory there. Take what you want from that. But yeah, that's all I really have on Bitcoin. Me personally, I don't plan on investing into crypto or going heavy into crypto. We every investment I put out in the Discord as far as crypto, we took profit on like in January. And we haven't really touched anything since. I'm waiting on the halving. I will start pushing out crypto videos after the halving, but until then, there's just short term bearish. Simple as that. NQ. So again, I think we're going to gap down Monday, and I could be completely wrong. All right. My first confirmation, I say this all the time. Usually, what happens on Fridays happens on Mondays. You can look back in time, you can think back in time, but every single time Friday was bullish, Monday was bullish. Almost all the time. More than 70% of the time, that's what happens in the market. The same thing can be said when Fridays are bearish, and Friday was absolutely bearish. Where if Friday is bearish, then Monday is typically bearish. Now, granted, Mondays aren't the most volatile days, so that doesn't necessarily mean that we're just gonna fly all the way down or anything. But chances are, based on historical data, that we could see more downside. All right. As far as the Nasdaq goes, your key level here is 18K. You can say 17,990 to be safe. You break below this supply and demand zone at 17,990, you're heading as low as 17,800, 17,700. Now, in another video, I did say that I do think that Nasdaq can go as low as 17,300. Okay. Sorry about that. 17,300. And I said I would talk about that when we get closer to that target or at least out of the supply and demand zone. So if we break below 18K, maybe sometime next week, then I will talk about where I'm getting that target from. But if you've been following my channel, I don't pull these targets out the sky or anything like that. I mean, for me to say Bitcoin is going all the way from 69,000 to 65,000 and it actually hits like 15 minutes later, it shows you that I'm not just saying random targets here. These are real targets that I am pulling. And I mean, I keep telling you guys, this projection tool, Forex traders use this all the time. Why is not used on the stock market side? I don't know. Traders ask me all the time, when should I take profit? When should I take profit? The projection tool tells you when to take profit, and it works. That's where I get a lot of my targets from. But, you know, y'all don't take me serious yet. So it is what it is. As far as upside goes, and this is why I thought Thursday was somewhat of a bull trap. We didn't break above anything really on the Nasdaq, and I told you guys, 18,500 is butter. We don't care about that level anymore. So we broke above 18,500, but again, that's or it's irrelevant. We broke through it so many times that it's not even a key level anymore. It's just butter. 18,610. After that, I will be neutral, and then 18,710. You can say 18,750 if you want to be safe. That's when I will be bullish on the Nasdaq over again. Okay, but until then, I have to follow my strategy, and my strategy is telling me that we're going to see more downside on the Nasdaq or on the market overall. ES. ES, what did I tell you guys? I said we get below 5,200, we're heading towards 5,150. Let me get rid of this. We're heading towards 5,150. And I mean, yeah, we're at 5,166.5. So, and I meant to say this on the NASDAQ. In order for us to break out of this range, right? In order for us to get rid of all these buyers down here, I think a gap down is imminent. Now, granted, NASDAQ doesn't gap pretty at all, really. I mean, it's very rare. You got a gap here. So it is rare that NASDAQ does gap. But in order for us to get rid of all of these buyers down here, we need news. And ironically, we have news. Okay, and it seems to be concluded, but I don't think that's the end of it. I really don't. But I don't know anything about war in Iran and all that stuff, so I'll just leave it there. Right? Maybe something else pops up like COVID 52 or something. I don't know. But regardless, in order for us to get rid of all these buyers, we need to break further down. ES, pretty much the same idea. In order for us to break below 5150, where these guys are right here, we need some type of news in order for us to gap down. We break below 5150, we're heading towards 5124, 5123, and after that, you're looking at a move all the way as low as 5096, which is at the bottom of the supply and demand zone. For upside, you want to break back above 5250. I would say 5256 to be safe. You break above 5256, you may have a chance to head towards 5280, 5285. After that, you're looking at a move towards 5300. In order for me to be really bullish on ES again, 5330. You want to get rid of these guys here. You want to stop them out of their positions. 5330. After that, you're in price discovery mode all over again, and we go from there. 5350, 5375, so on and so forth. Okay. And that's what I'm looking at as far as the ES. SPY. So, I mean, you guys see it. Like, I'm drawing these patterns out, and You got people saying patterns don't work or traders saying patterns don't work. It's not that patterns don't work. What I've noticed is that a lot of traders just draw out the wrong patterns. A lot of patterns can be confused with others. Like, for example, a bull flag looks a lot like a broadening wedge. Okay. So eh, these patterns tend to get confused a lot. All right. So I just want to point that out. So a lot of times it's not the patterns, it's you drawing the wrong patterns. Okay. Now, as far as SPY goes, it is important to note that a lot of these stocks and ETFs and futures are at the 50 DMA, I mean 50 EMA, 50 SMA, whichever one you use. They are there. And that's another reason why I think we may have to gap down Monday in order to break below these 50 EMAs and SMAs. Now, I don't have it on my chart because I don't want it to be too clunky, but we are there. So either we relief bounce Monday, which is on the table, of course, and we see a move like this, where we retest 514, 515, and then we head lower towards 508. And remember, my price target on the SPY on that same video I showed you guys was 508. And we're pretty close to that. All right. Now, there is a fair value gap also at 514. And remember, I told you guys that in that video as well. I mean, rewatch the video, it's all there. That this hangman pattern left a fair value gap. Okay, on Wednesday's video, this hangman pattern left a fair value gap up in this area. And what happened the next day? Well, after that, we gap down. And then what happens after the gap down? We fill or mitigate that fair value gap. I don't trade fair value gaps. I pretty much can tell where they're at, but I don't really trade them, but I have an idea on where they are and I do know how to trade them. Okay. But yeah, SPY. We could see a move towards 514. Okay, if we do get a relief bounce. Another thing that could support that is unusual wells. So unusual wells, we do have an order for Monday or expiration on Monday or 514 call for 14 million premium, 511 call 15 million premium. But then we also have a 506 put, which supports the gap down theory, and then 409 put as well, and they're all expiring on Monday. Now, all of these I don't really care for because the premiums are very low, so I don't necessarily care for. I care for the big money. 512 call for this was a zero DTE trade, but hopefully you guys get the idea, right? So 514 call Monday. That's exactly where the fair value gap is. So that's pretty ironic. So just pay attention to that if we do get some type of relief bounce. Now, another thing I want to point out is that if we do gap down, okay, if we do gap down Monday, it is important to note that the SPY tries really hard or almost right away to fill its gaps right away. So that is on the table, okay? So if we do gap down, we may relief bounce like almost immediately and start heading towards 514. Okay, so that is on the table, all right? So those are your two scenarios there, okay? We gap down, bounce back up, head to 514, okay? Now, as far as key levels, okay, your first key level has pretty much been taken out. We closed right below 510. Your next key level is around 507. Yeah, 507. You break below 507, you're heading towards 505, 505 psych level. After that, you're looking at 503.5, 503.6. All right. Your main key level to be worried about is 500. SPY breaks below 500, you are pretty illiquid all the way down to 496. Okay. Let me show you guys. Right here. You're pretty illiquid. Okay. So this is where the next batch of buyers are. Okay. Here, 496, and then you got some at 493, 492 range. Okay. We'll talk about that when we get there. But other than that, 503, you break below that, you're heading towards 500, and then you're pretty much going to be in this illiquid area. All right. And it could be a pretty quick drop. So that is the move that I am looking for as far as downside. As far as to be bullish on upside, 521, 522 range. Okay, you break above 522, you're looking at a move towards 524, 525 psych level. And in order for me to be bullish and expect some type of rally to happen again on the SPY, I want to see us head towards 530. All right. Triple Qs. So triple Qs, yeah. So triple Qs, you break below the supply and demand zone at 435. It's a very tight range. Okay. 435. You break below 435, you are breaking below this double bottom. That is very bad. You break below those guys. And again, in order for me to see us breaking below this area, I mean, look, we have to gap down. That's the only way I think we can break below this area, or we need extremely bad news. I mean, very bad news. Okay. I mean, look at this. I mean, not even just this double bottom, right? Here, here, all in this area. So in order for us to break below this, we may have to gap down. Now, where we gap down to, maybe 433. 433 is our main key level of concern here. But other than that, that's what I'm looking at as far as triple Q's downside. As far as upside, I mean, as you guys can see, we are still in the supply and demand zone. But as far as upside, you want to get back above 439. I would say 440 since it's our psych level. After that, in order for me to be bullish, 447. You break above the supply and demand zone at 447, and then 450 is your main target. Okay. After that, you're in price discovery mode, blah, 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 455, 460. You guys get the routine, right? And yeah. And another reason why I think we need to gap down or we may gap down Monday is this guy. This guy here, my lord. This wick here, okay? We need to take this guy out. This is part of the reason why we're having such an extreme hard time breaking down on the triple Qs. Okay? Part of the reason. It's also important to note, and I didn't mark this out, but it is here. We're at a weekly supply and demand zone. We're above it. So all these rejections that's happening on triple Qs, all these rejections, they're rejecting the weekly supply and demand zone. It's here, trust me. Okay, it's here. All right, I can actually draw it out. It's here. This is what we're rejecting. We continue to reject it. Weekly supply and demand zone is a tough supply and demand zone. In order for us to break this, we need something crazy to happen. I don't know what. I don't know if it's war. I don't know. I don't know what. But we need something crazy to happen to even think to break below this. All right. So that's what I'm looking at as far as triple Qs. SOXL. So in the Discord, we are in SOXL trade. We took two losses last week. They were both AMD. I got psyched out of my AMD 160 puts when Thursday happened, so I did get psyched out of it. We jumped back into 155 puts for April 19th. And so far we're in profit. We got in at like 164. AMD is like 161 after hours or something like that. We got into SPY 510 puts for April 15th. We got in at like 514 and took profit all the way at like 510. So congratulations if you took that trade, made about 100% on that. So yeah, barely, again, we rarely lose. Discord link is in the description below. And now we are in SOXL 38 puts for April 19th. We got in at like 42, at 42 break, yeah. So XOXL price target on this is about 38, 37 range. As you guys can see, we broke below the symmetrical triangle. So yeah, the intended move or the measured move for this is like 25. And I think that's when Nvidia will see 740. If this thing goes that low, if this thing, first off, if this breaks below 37, I think that's the time when Nvidia is going to start heading towards 823 and then 740. If this measured move plays out for the symmetrical triangle, okay, then that's when Nvidia is going to head towards 740. All right. And as you guys can see, Nvidia is below the daily supply and demand zone. It broke back below the daily supply and demand zone. I think it's going to start heading towards 823 from here. And I could be wrong. I could be wrong. I'm fine with being wrong, but I think that is on the table now. All right. So keep an eye out for that. As far as your key levels on Nvidia, sorry. As far as your key levels on Nvidia, upside 924. 924. I think Nvidia is going to start heading towards 866, 864 range from here. And then after that, there is cards on the table for maybe an inverse head and shoulders right here. I see the vision. I'm just not convinced. I'm sorry. As long as we're below the supply and demand zone, I'm just not convinced on any bullish patterns until we break above it. Okay. 924, your key level here. After that, you want to break below 850. You break below 850, then you're heading towards 823. Okay. You're just heading there. All right. So 823 is where that gap is. I pointed it out in previous video, I believe. So 823, I think Nvidia is going to head as low as 740. All right. And we'll talk about that again when we get closer to that target. But that's really all I have, guys. Hopefully, you guys really got something out this video. I really want to take my time with this video and just help you guys understand that we could be looking at somewhat of a rotation. Again, I've said it in the videos before where I think bulls are going to start getting trapped. Okay. Bulls are going to start getting trapped and bears are going to start creeping into the market. I've said this, and this is not me being a perma bear or anything. I don't care where the market goes, as long as I make money. Trust me, okay. But I said it when we've been rallying to the upside. We've continued to see bears get trapped over and over and over again. And now, as I noticed that bears were slowly creeping into the market, we're starting to see the exact opposite happen, where bulls are constantly getting trapped. And a lot of traders are like, yeah, Monday, bears are going to get trapped, or next week bears are going to get trapped, and things like that. And that's exactly how you get trapped when you're so bullish, right? When you're just so bullish, because I get it. We're so used to upside that it's hard to see downside at that point, and so you're constantly looking for opportunities for bears to get trapped. But now I think the opposite is happening, and I could be wrong. I think the opposite is happening. But so far, I've been right. So far, we've continued to see bulls get trapped. CPI data, the day before CPI data, bulls got trapped. The day after CPI data, Friday came, bulls got trapped. We're starting to see the opposite happening. Okay. And if you're going to use Bitcoin as a leading indicator, then you have to keep in mind that the halving is coming up. And usually the halving is bearish. So if we're going to, use Bitcoin as a leading indicator, you have to keep that in mind. So that's my little rant there. Be careful coming into Monday. Me personally, I'm just going to sit on the trades that I currently have, which is AMD puts, and I'm just going to see how Monday plays out. Okay, I'm going to try to see how Monday plays out. But other than that, that's really all I have. Hopefully, you guys got something out this video. Tomorrow, I will put out another video on stocks that I am liking to the downside and my price targets on everything. So be on the lookout for that. But until the next video, traders, have a good one.